Welcome back. A big night for Amazon Prime Video as it readies to stream its first exclusive Thursday night football broadcast with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. And our very own Josh Schaefer had the chance to speak with Kansas City Chiefs Chairman and CEO Clark Hunt on the league's current push to streaming. Let's take a listen here.
We're extremely excited about our home opener tomorrow night, Thursday night on Amazon Prime. It really is a big shift for the National Football League. Over the last several years, the league has experimented with streaming options, and we struck a great partnership with Amazon Prime to carry most of the Thursday night games this year. The Chiefs are absolutely delighted to be the first team that's on. I think it's a real statement about our fan base, about GEH Field at Arrowhead. So we're excited and looking forward to it. And I think it really portends the future of sports broadcasting.
You mentioned the future of sports broadcasting. I'm curious, what does this do for you as an operator, as a team operator? What does this moment mean as far as revenue goes, and what do you sort of expect to build with from this Amazon partnership?
Well, for a number of years, we've been expecting that a large part of the broadcast would shift to streaming. And I mentioned earlier that the league had experimented with it over the last few years just to make sure that from a technology standpoint, it worked. But I think you're really going to see a trend across sports where more and more leagues, more and more properties end up streaming at least part of their package. And certainly the NFL has taken a step there. Major League Soccer recently announced a partnership with Apple where they will be streamed almost exclusively on Apple over the next 10 years. So I think it's really the direction that all sports are headed.
And you mentioned Apple there, obviously with the MLS, Amazon. These are not necessarily streaming services that people are familiar with when it comes to live sports, right? This is sort of big tech stepping into live sports for the first time. What does that partnership do for sports? Is there going to be more tie-ins that we can see with Amazon or Apple from a tech standpoint beyond just streaming the game?
Yeah, I really think it opens up a lot of avenues, additional ways that sports properties can be promoted. So I think you'll see those kind of partnerships develop as we go forward. You know, certainly having a partner with the strength of Amazon Prime is great for the National Football League. And I'd like to also think that the partnership with the National Football League will be great for Amazon as well.
And Clark, obviously these streaming deals, we've seen them pinned. Amazon paid about $1 billion annually. It's going to drive up those broadcast rights that are distributed throughout the league and therefore driving up team valuations to some extent. I know Forbes has nearly doubled your team's valuation over the last 5 years. The Broncos sold for over $4.5 billion this year. What have you made of how much teams are worth nowadays? Do you think that's going to keep growing, or have we started to see the market sort of top off a little bit there?
Well, I don't think we've seen the market top off. I do believe if you went back 60 plus years to when my dad founded the Chiefs, I think he would be stunned with the valuations today. And certainly the move that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years has been very dramatic. Part of that is being able to tap a bigger audience, and partners like Amazon and Apple are going to help leagues be able to do that. So that's part of growing not only the fan base, but also the valuations of the leagues and the teams.
As that revenue stream grows and you have more money to work with, where are you looking to spend that money? Where's that additional revenue going for you to sort of build out the franchise further?
Well, I think for every team, the first focus is the product on the field. I know that's certainly true for the Chiefs. We're in a very special period here in Kansas City with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the success that we've had over the last 4 or 5 years, making a couple of Super Bowls and hosting 4 AFC championship games at Arrowhead. So certainly that'll be the first focus. I also think long term that you'll see a continued investment in new facilities and renovated facilities. Consumers today expect more when they come to a game, whether it's an arena or a football stadium. The creature comforts continue to get better every year. So that's something we'll certainly be looking at over the next several years. And I know a lot of my partners around the NFL will be doing the same thing.
And when we talk about the consumer, home opener tomorrow night, I'm curious what you've seen from demand this year. We talk a lot on our program about rising inflation and where consumers are maybe cutting back. Do you expect to see that all in the stadium, or do you think that's not carrying over to the NFL?
To this point, we've not seen that. And I'll just speak specifically from a Chiefs standpoint. We've never seen greater demand for tickets. We'll be sold out tomorrow night. Our ticket prices have increased year over year. And I think that trend is true across the National Football League. We're certainly keeping an eye on what's going on with the economy and what's going on with inflation. We do know that a lot of consumers are really feeling that. And so it's something that we're going to pay attention to. But to this point, we've not seen anything.
Well, we got Josh Schaefer here right now to break some of this down. A lot of interesting comments on the back end there, talking about ticket price inflation, not surprisingly but it's got to be felt.
Yeah, no, and another thing, too, that was interesting that we also talked about with Clark was the inflation that they're seeing when it comes to buying goods, right, and buying that burger and buying the beer and then trying to sell it to someone at the stadium, and our consumers going to pay more. And I think it was interesting, you told me that they're trying to absorb that cost as much as they can and not pass it on. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out throughout the season, because stadium beers are already pretty expensive.
Yeah,
there, right?
Why don't they just jack it up to $50 for a 16-ounce mug? I don't know.
Right. Well, it seems like it's crazy, though, the prices of NFL tickets, to think that people aren't cutting back at all when we think about the consumer and where they're spending right now. I think it's pretty interesting to see that people are still spending in that space, and where are they cutting back then?
Well, I think they're cutting back on some of the larger items that we're seeing in the retail sales numbers. I don't know. We'll be talking about this throughout the rest of the day here.